Sleeping on Snoop. Dynasty rookie rankings, folks. We're back again. It's Sunday. We're doing a live Sunday show. We're getting wild out here. We're prepping. We're watching live games over this weekend, and we're getting excited to talk a little bit about some of our feedback, Dynasty deep dives, some players we haven't talked about in today's show. And some of these guys played over the weekend. So you're going to want to join us today live for the Dynasty rookie rankings. Before we get into the show, we want to make sure you're following us across the board at Razzball Fantasy on YouTube. We also have daily content on IG and TikTok on football.razzball.com. We have articles, we have football, we have baseball, we have hockey, we have everything you need for fantasy sports. But it's football season, folks. So make sure you're going over to football.razzball.com to check out all the great articles, the ADP tool. We have team name generators. We have everything you need for your fantasy season. So make sure you jump on there. But we're going to start right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. Bringing my co-host for today. His name is Paul Blake. You find Paul Blake PB12 on Twitter. What's going on, Paul Blake?
Hey, Bobby. Just super stoked with week one of the preseason. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Sympathies to those of you who watched the Texans and the Saints like I did. Man, that was a terrible game to watch. But we do have football. It's live. It's somewhat real, and that's awesome.
Yeah, man. Honestly, it was fun too because I personally, we're gonna have a show later next week. A little bit about some of the news and notes on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, me and you're gonna talk about some instant reactions. But today's show is about some like deeper names, some guys we haven't really talked about this offseason. Some of these guys played over the weekend, so let's get right into it. Actually, we're gonna talk a little bit about some of these guys. One of the guys is Snoop Conner, of course, but we're gonna start at the top with. I want to say it's Keontay Ingram from the Arizona Cardinals, the running back, 6th-round pick. You wanted to talk about him today, so let's talk a little bit about Ingram, why he's someone that's kind of on your radar now heading into, Dynasty rookie draft season.
Yeah, so it might be Keontay, I think is maybe how he pronounces that. But yeah, so I really like this guy because he's a big back, 6 foot, 225, so kind of a big athletic back. Getting a lot of compliments from Coach Kingsbury. They really like him there in Arizona. He was a 6th-round draft pick. He was at Texas in college, and he was also at USC, so there was a transfer there, but 2 blue blood programs who clearly liked him. What I like about him is right now the Cardinals are loaded at running back. You're looking at James Conner, Darrell Williams, Eno Benjamin. I do like Eno Benjamin quite a bit. Keontay did play in the preseason game. He did score a touchdown. But I'm worried he might be cut if we've got all these other runners in there, which would open up the door for him to get snapped up by Houston, Atlanta, Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans. Maybe a better situation for him. And if he doesn't get cut, then he's probably made the team, which keeps the door open if something were to happen to James Conner, because he's kind of built a little bit more like James Conner, where Eno Benjamin and Darrell Williams are a little more of the receiving back, kind of smaller back. So that's what I like for Keontay, either eventually take over the battering ram job in Arizona, or obviously go somewhere else. Maybe, options out there.
Yeah, 6th-round pick, obviously not the most draft capital, but the guys ahead of him aren't high draft capital guys outside of like James Conner. You got Darrell Williams and Eno Benjamin, you already brought up. Eno has not really done much in the first couple seasons in the NFL, but he has gotten a lot of camp noise himself. Still has 2 years left on his deal. But like you said, it might be simple as they might like that James Conner mold. Remember, before James Conner, there was the Kenyon Drake who scored the double-digit touchdowns with Chase Edmonds. So there might be, even if James Conner goes down, there might be a role for a bigger back because Darrell Williams and Eno Benjamin profile better as receiving backs than they do as a power back. So you might be onto something here. He did have 9 touches in his first preseason game, did find the end zone as well. So we have to keep monitoring him throughout the preseason because he might start getting more looks. And once Kyler Murray gets on the field, I would love to see him get on there with him as well. Let's jump down to our next player. Eric, what's up with you picking all these hard names? I mean, Jesus, what happened to John Smith? Like, what are you doing to me, man? I am terrible with names, and all you do is give me the hard ones. Eric, it looks Ezukanma, whatever. The Dolphins wide receiver. I know what team he plays for, what position. I even know his number is 87. Talk to me about Eric. Why you think that he's someone – this is a deep Miami receiving core. So talk to us why you think he might have a shot in Dynasty for the Dolphins.
Well, he's earned the nickname Easy E, so that's a little bit easier to say. So we'll call him Easy E from now on, if that works best. Yeah, I really like him. Like his size, 6'2", 210 pounds. So he gives a little bit better, a different look than what you get from Tyreek Hill and from Jalen Waddell, who are a little bit more of those faster, speedier, smaller built receivers. He's looked good in camp, man. He's turning some heads. People seem to like him. I think he's earned that fourth wide receiver role. I do like Cedric Wilson as the third one. So obviously, I've covered the first two with Hill and Waddell, but Cedric Wilson's a guy I really liked coming over from Dallas, who also a similar build there. But I like Eazy-E. Maybe, as a fourth wide receiver, he's going to get some looks if one of those top three get hurt. And I think down the road, they've got visions for this guy being pretty good. He is a fourth-round draft pick, so they did invest some draft capital for him. Some words that Coach McDaniels used for him is he's thriving in camp, and he's called him a driven dude. So I'd grab this driven dude late in your first year player drafts and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a decent amount of work in the first preseason game. He did have 2 catches, 18 yards. Now, the only thing I am worried about with this is that they have Tyreek Hill for 5 more years. They have Jalen Waddle for 3 more years. They even have their new slot receiver, quote unquote, Cedric Wilson for 3 more years. So there's a lot of guys under contract that have proven themselves in the NFL. So it might be a tough way to get him to crack the lineup. I just don't know if I ever see Tua supporting 3 fantasy viable wide receivers over the next half decade. So it might be a slow bleed, maybe definitely a guy you got to keep an eye on, especially because you brought up he's a different body type. He might be someone that's featured in the red zone later. So I do like that. Let's jump down to the next player. We're going to talk about another one, Trestan Ebner. I mean, at this point, I think you hate me. That's what I think this is all about. It's all about embarrassing me. This is it. This is our last show together. I'm done. I'm over. So the Chicago Bears running back, and this guy I actually got to admit, I did see him yesterday. 6th-round pick. Talk to us a little bit about him and why he's someone we should definitely have on our radars in 2022.
Well, yeah, and I was in on Ebner, liked him from Baylor, a great special teams player down there for the Pac-12 or part of the Big 12. I think he's won the special teams player of the year 2 consecutive seasons there before he was drafted. Our good friend Derek Brown, D-Bro, he's a big truther here for Trestan Ebner. So if you follow him on Twitter, you'll see that he once came on here and debated us. So that was kind of fun. He's a big Ebner fan. But Ebner's top end speed, skilled receiver, not really between the tackles type runner, but he is speedy. He's flashed in camp. I think he's got a good shot at that RB3 spot just because there's not a whole lot of competition there for him in Chicago. And they're going to need playmakers. They're going to need big, long runs. They're going to need some people to break some tackles and get some things going because it's really hard for me to see Justin Fields meticulously moving the ball down the field with 8-yard passes, 14, 18 play drives,
So I guess my question is, he has a similar build to Khalil Herbert. Now, because the reason why I want to talk about this is because David Montgomery is a free agent after this season. Once he's gone, Khalil Herbert has 2 more years on his contract. Now, this coaching staff has been a part of the Packers coaching staff the last few years where they have featured A.J. Dillon alongside Aaron Jones, but they were 2 different types of backs. So it worked perfectly. These guys are similarly built, but do you see something in their games that they could complement each other, or do you think it's going to be Khalil Herbert and then Ebner will become his primary backup?
I do think that it's going to be Herbert over Ebner just because of Ebner's limitations between the tackles. But this is the type of player who, doesn't need to have a whole lot of touches to make a difference for your fantasy team. He has the speed where if he gets 6 targets out of the backfield and maybe he snags 3 or 4 of them, he could take one of them 40 yards to the end zone. I think that they would, after Montgomery leaves, they would probably incorporate a bigger back to work alongside Herbert. Herbert's had some troubles in pass protection in his first season. So I do kind of see in that. Honestly, my assessment on this is I think the Bears really liked Ebner as far as the talent and speed and special team situation. They brought him aboard, and now they're like, oh my God, what do we have? Because he's just looked great. And now I think they've kind of got an embarrassment of riches here as far as speedy scat back type guys.
Yeah, 92nd percentile 40-yard dash, 89th percentile speed score. And this is where they think the key is. Maybe Herbert becomes more of the featured 1-2 down back. He had a 10% target share in college, which is very good for running backs. So he might be, if he can hold up in pass pro, that's his in, because he had 6 for 31 in the preseason game, but he also had a receiving touchdown. So if this kid could carve out that passing game role, we might be onto something there. Let's jump down to the man on the image today, Snoop Conner, Jacksonville Jaguars. He is a running back. He came in. If you watched the games yesterday, obviously after Travis Etienne, he was the next guy in, which I do love to see. He played with Trevor Lawrence. So talk to us about Snoop Conner, why he's on your radar.
Well, yeah, and I really love that picture that you brought out of Snoop Conner. Those calves, my God, they're like turkey legs. That guy has got some muscle to him. Woo! But yeah, he's a rocked up runner, man. So he's I think he does have 3 down back potential here. He was a 5th round draft pick, but remember, running backs don't get drafted in the 1st round. Not many get drafted in the 2nd round. So if you're a 5th round draft pick, you're kind of more of like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, I guess you could look at it from the running back position. Not a lot of competition there in Jacksonville. We've got James Robinson, who, I think he's kind of starting to practice, but not 100%. You've got Etienne, who does not run in between the tackles. You don't take a Porsche Muddin. This is the type of guy who can run through the middle, 5'10", 220, good all around skills, catches the ball pretty well out of the backfield. So this is a grown ass man who can run the football. And if you've got James Robinson, who I do like a lot, he's an efficient runner, but Snoop Conner could take over that role if Robinson's not ready to go.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think the other thing too, this is a brand new coaching staff. This is the coaching staff that brought in James Robinson and Travis Etienne. They did bring in Snoop Conner. Now, 5th round draft capital isn't much, and obviously that does hurt him a little bit. But James Robinson is not only coming off the injury, but he's a free agent after this season. And this is this type of situation where Travis Etienne is kind of like a setback. He's a pass catcher, works good in space. They do need a typical 1-2 type guy. And if Conner could take that role, he could really kind of make an impact on this team. The other thing I do like is that he's already playing with Trevor Lawrence. We saw it. That's what the key is here. He had 7 carries, 21 yards, and he also had 2 receptions in the game. So he showed that he could catch the ball out of the backfield as well. So I do love that. But the key is he's playing with a first-string offense. So if Robinson has any setbacks, or if by the way, Robinson's an undrafted free agent. Like, he wasn't even like a high draft capital guy. So this coaching staff is not only new, but he doesn't have draft capital either. They're not paying him anything. So don't be surprised if Conner really steps up, that he could even, wildly pip some James Robinson out of that lineup. All right, let's go to the last one. This is a personal request because I actually been hearing a lot about this kid, Kyle Phillips. And here's the key why. The Titans did not play their starters. They did not play them this weekend. Treylon Burks played with the backups. You know who didn't play? Kyle Phillips. That tells me right away this kid has earned his spot with the first team because, Robert Woods didn't play. Kyle Phillips didn't play. Treylon Burks did. So I think if Tannehill and Derrick Henry, and they're sitting those guys out, Austin Hooper, and then Kyle Phillips, the rookie, that piques my interest. So talk to us about Kyle Phillips. Tell me why I'm excited and why I'm going to have him in pretty much all my dynasty leagues.
Well, yeah, I think you're getting onto it here. So Kyle Phillips is a 5th round pick out of UCLA. He's your slot possession receiver type guy. He has earned the trust of Ryan Tannehill. So Tannehill seems to like him quite a bit. I read a camp report where he threw 8 passes to Phillips in a camp and connected on 5 of those passes. So that's a pretty good report there. He's your get open in a phone booth guy. And I know people don't know many kids probably don't know what phone booths are anymore. So maybe let's say get open in a tiny house type of guy.
That's all right. They're still in movies, right?
Yeah. But yeah, he's a great route runner, great hands. He's in the Hunter Renfrow mold. All the white wide receiver idioms apply. Coach on the field, gym rat, more quick than fast, all that type of stuff. But I do think he needs to improve on his efficiency if he's really going to step up. Okay, because you look at Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow caught 103 passes on 128 targets last year. That's an 80% completion rate when they throw the ball to Hunter Renfrow. So pretty good return when the Raiders throw the ball to him. Phillips only caught 59 passes out of 96 targets his senior year, not his senior year, but in 2021, he left early for the draft, so his junior year. But in 2021 with UCLA, that's only a 61% completion rate there when they throw the ball to him. Now, QB play may be an issue. I do like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's the quarterback with UCLA, quality player there, but he's no Derek Carr. That's just how it goes there. So I'm interested to see how Phillips does with Tannehill. I think he's PPR league. If you're in a points per reception league, this guy's got to be on your radar here.
This is the thing. I understand maybe this is a PPR only type thing, but this guy's a 90th percentile agility score. But he also has he's dominated in college, 80% dominator for college, 93rd percentile college target share. So those numbers, people always like to say, we want to know they want to see production in college, but he's also got the agility playing the slot. Now, let's say for example, Treylon Burks is not going to take over 1-for-1 the AJ Brown role. You got Robert Woods coming off an injury. I just feel like speculatively, this guy could be as his floor 5 for 50, 5 for 60 every single week, getting you double digits, and that could be like his floor. And then next thing you know, if he starts getting, winning more of that target share and winning more because Burks is not becoming the true one, and Robert Woods is getting off slow, and this guy, next thing you know, is finding himself in the end zone. I think that's where the key is going to be for me. Do you have any information on Kyle Phillips' touchdown scoring, his red zone prowess, anything like that? Any type of feedback there?
I think if I remember right, I saw 6 touchdowns. His best year was 2021, so last year. I think he only scored 6 touchdowns. So this is the type of guy where, I think that they could start targeting him on the goal line. I really know Hunter Renfrow is really good at that, because if you're at the goal line, you need someone to get open in 3 seconds. Get 10 touchdowns?
10 touchdowns. Let's go.
Wow, yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm taking it with the Razzball last pick. Oh, my God.
Do it. Yeah, because those guys are great at the goal line because they get open like that.
Yeah. 5 for 30. He had 59 receptions, 739 yards, 10 touchdowns. Woo!
Man.
Oh, man. That gets me going. Oh, man. I think it's the weekend. I don't know if I can concentrate at work at this point. This is going to be a good one. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's mostly what I have on Phillips. He's a guy who's continually worked up my rankings. I think I've got him in the 50s right now, but stay tuned for the updates, because it's the type of guy who will jump and jump quickly. We've seen how mercurial these players can be when they really start showing what they can do in camp, because it's a fresh slate for all these college players. They were all great in college, so we'll see how they do in the NFL. Phillips is already looking good. Move him up. Be aggressive with these guys. This is how it works.
Yeah, I want to be, as much as I'm excited for him, I do have to be conscious of the fact that, Adam Humphries was the last slot guy, and he really wasn't dominant for fantasy, but we also had A.J. Brown there and then Corey Davis there at one point, and there was 2 dominant guys. So there's something here. I'm telling you now, because he sat out the first preseason game with the starters, that really piqued my interest, while Treylon Burks is out there with Malik Willis. I kind of got me excited. So that's it. We're going to end on a high note. That's our Dynasty Emerging Deep Sleeper segment for today's show. Once again, make sure you're following us across the board at Razzball Fantasy on TikTok, IG, and also on Instagram. And, of course, make sure you go to Razzball.com to check out all the great content we have there for football, basketball, baseball, and hockey. But people, it's football season. Paul Blake's dropping Dynasty rankings. We got articles coming out every day. We have tools and resources you need to win your fantasy league. So go check it out over on Razzball.com. Once again, I'm your host, Bobby Lamarco. You can follow me at Bobby Lamarco on Twitter. You can follow that man, Paul Blake, at Paul Blake PB12. Once again, thank you for joining. We are out of here.